Bow wow.
We are Sundogs. Welcome to DogStar.
Every week we sit down with a star of the hip-hop R&B community here, and this week we are sitting down with Mama Rose.
How you doing?
Good. Thank you guys for having me back again. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to see you. We, again, appreciate you taking the time out to sit down. We know you're busy,
Yes.
multifaceted busy.
Yeah, many hats.
Yes.
Yes.
So last time we were talking to you on a mic, we were talking about drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
back in August of 2021.
Yeah,
So that was the big news. It's been a while.
it has. There's been so much that's happened since then.
What's happened?
Musically, a few singles, a few collaborations, 2 whole albums, and
You guys are throwing shows.
a lot of shows, events, and a lot of personal development as far as learning how to produce, record, just have creative freedom in my own world.
Picking up some skills.
That's really good to
Lots
hear.
of
That's
skills.
good to hear.
Yeah. Been very fortunate to work with people who want to teach me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned a lot, for sure.
Well, let's start with kind of that learning process leading up towards specifically between. album.
Yeah, my most recent album.
Yeah.
My most recent album, Between, is the culmination of a lot of experimentation.
How's that?
And so when COVID happened, my partner and I, he goes by Thomas C. Gorton, or Tom DeBomb.
Ooh.
Yes.
We were like, well, here we are at home. Can't go to the studio. Like, what are we going to do? So then all that COVID money came in, the stimulus checks, and we decided this is the right time to invest in our careers, in our vocation, in our process, in our life work.
Okay.
So we built a studio at home. And by built, I mean, like, we put it together, you know. And it wasn't glamorous, but it did everything that it needed to do. It was in our basement and had pretty good soundproofing just because our basement was also storage. So we had like a lot of things around. And then invested in Ableton, got the mic, got a lot of really synchronistic things came together. Like our producer's computer fell over and got a huge crack across the screen. And he was like, I got to get a new one. You guys want to buy this for cheap? So like we had some really nice things come together that helped us just do it and make it happen. And so then at that point, we were able to take some of the things that we had learned from working with Jason Faye, who produced Drink More Water, and start to put them into practice and like have him on speed dial. Like, what is this thing? Like, how do I, navigate this?
Troubleshoot it every step of the way.
Yeah. And then just started kind of playing with things and experimenting and seeing what we could put together. And what I had always wanted to do was to get closer to making the music that I hear in my head, in my dreams, in my psychic space, which involves a lot of choral vocals. So I started to combine spoken word and rap with choral vocals and doing like lots and lots of stacks and layers and seeing like if I can do as many harmonies as I want and I can just literally sit here with the microphone and record and do the mixing at the same time.
Right.
What can I make? So Between is this album of music that came together from me literally sitting in my basement and healing on the spot and creating a sonic version of that experience so that when it's communicated to the listener, it takes that energy that I was going through while I was making it and delivers it.
Wow.
And it really hits. And I've been able to bring it to sound and wellness retreats, listening parties, yoga studios, massage studios, like all sorts of different things where people just have the time to go through their own process and experience with it. And it ended up being exactly 60 minutes long, which I did not plan for.
Interesting.
I was just like, here are my songs. And then put them all into a playlist to see, how's the flow going. And I was like, wow, that's perfect. So when I do one-on-one healing work with people, which is a combination of different things, but it involves some psychic work and some energy work and mediumship and embodiment and brings it all into the same space. And my sessions are usually an hour long. So now I have this perfect body of work that is able to bring someone through an experience with me that lasts exactly that amount of time. So it's like,
very connected.
All the pieces,
it sounds like your
together.
Goal with the studio at home like really came true. It's really a more like direct route from their ears to what you are creating. That sounds sweet.
Yeah.
Did any of that vision come from like something you were unhappy about Drink More Water, or had you always felt like that's the route you wanted to go eventually?
I wouldn't say that any of it came from unhappiness. It was more so the natural blossoming process of who I am as an artist. So looking at what I was able to make in the past, I'm so in love with and grateful for. And then also there's always more, right? So what can I pull from the people that I've been able to work with, like who've been able to teach me skills to have more of the creative control to be able to bring this new part of my blossoming to life? Then that's what it was.
And again, hearing the music or making the music that you hear in your head a little bit more exact.
Yeah, there are pieces in that project, in that album, that literally came through and I ran to the microphone to get them down.
Well, you got to capture it right away because they're fleeting sometimes.
Yeah. And I love that we live in this era of having a little handheld recording device. I have my phone, so if anything comes through, I can do my best to kind of record. It was like this, and then there was that layer, and then there was that, and then later when I have some time, I can kind of put it back together. But
that's perfect.
Yeah.
Any tips for people who are recording some of their ideas for the first time? Like any special notes that you should say ahead of time? Or
yeah, I would say, first of all, you probably sound a lot different than the recording that you're getting back because it is hard to find people who know how to mix. And if you don't have somebody who knows how to not only mix your vocals, but mix whatever instrumentation your vocals are a part of, you're going to get an inaccurate representation of what you sound like. And there's so many artists, even locally, who I know their talent because I've seen them live, but their mixes are not where they should be. And it just doesn't sound like it could, So I would just hate for someone to think that they are what they're hearing without really having the expertise to know what's going on with the mixing, because that's where the fine tuning happens. And you really can either get the accurate depiction of what you sound like or somebody else's idea of maybe what it should sound like.
Cool.
And then my other thing, I guess, would just be if you're considering recording yourself or starting with any of this stuff, just do it. Just start.
Right.
Get the free trial of whatever DAW it is that you want to use and just start doing it, and then pray. And when I say pray, I mean to literally whatever, plants, your family, your higher power, whatever that is for you, you got to open up that stream to allow the synchronicities to come to set in for you so that you can create, because the whole world is behind that creation process and wants to mobilize it. But we have to kind of let go of the control a little bit and let that come together. Otherwise, we've always got the doubting voice of, well, I don't have enough money to do that, or I don't have enough time to do that, or so you just have to start. Yeah.
When did you learn that lesson in your artistry, or like at what point, or are you still kind of learning that?
I think I'll be learning that lesson forever.
Okay.
And also motherhood has been the biggest teacher for that for me, because parenthood in general, I would say, puts you in a position where you have to come into a different relationship with what you can and what you can't control. And in my journey, especially with having a child who has very high medical needs, I was put into a position where there was so much that I couldn't control. And I knew, okay, this is the medicine of this child, right? Is to teach me how to just let go.
Yeah.
How to be more in the driver's seat by being in the passenger seat, which is a really paradoxical thing, but it's how it works. If you can get into the passenger seat, you elevate yourself to the higher self's driver's seat. So we've got these little kind of like thoughts and ideas about how things work. And if we can get past that and sit behind it, there's a whole new driver's seat. And it's really much more expanded. A lot more information comes through in that space, and a lot more help is able to come through to meet us. So I've found that through parenthood, which is always simultaneously happening with my artistry.
That's fascinating. I like that's very well put. To
Thank
kind of
you.
sacrifice yourself, to this other being or beings' needs, and in a sense have a bigger picture, a better understanding of it. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, how is it? It's your baby boy who has the health complications or problems?
Our almost 3-year-old. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. How's he doing
He's
today?
doing really well. He's doing really great. And also he is on a journey that's very complex, and there are a lot of pieces that we're always juggling and figuring out, like, okay, so I think this goes with that. And then we're like, no, that doesn't go there. Let's take that back out and figure out what else we can put in and try to do research, but also not do too much research, and also, consult community, and also let my psychic information flow and actually really trust the mother's intuition and go with whatever that says, and let him lead us, and know that we're probably never going to figure this out. It'll be a process that grows with him into adulthood, and then he'll start to experiment with what works and doesn't work for his health.
Right.
And like, it's stripped away the whole vibe of my 20s, which was like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to get it done.
Right.
It's just not that way.
Wow. Yeah. What a interesting curveball for life to throw at you. Like,
right?
What keeping you on your toes.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
And continuing to grow through that, I'm sure. What's up with Pact? What are you
I'm so glad
guys,
you asked.
Yeah, because you're saying you're at home, but I know you guys are hanging out all the time. Probably were hanging out through COVID.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we were. Yeah.
So what? What's up with those guys?
Pact. For anybody who doesn't know, Pact is the healing arts collective that I'm a part of, and we are a healing arts collective because we create. That's what makes our work healing work. It's healing for us, and it's healing for everyone that we share it with. And we also cultivate community through doing live events and creating community spaces where creative people can get together. So we have been focusing, it's kind of like a twofold thing. We have a lot of new music that we've created over the last year or so that hasn't come out yet.
Okay.
And that's been super fun because not only does my partner, Thomas Seagorton, produce, but also Philip St. John produces. Their production styles are really different. And then AMG does all this awesome, crazy DJing and has ideas to contribute to the production and the way that the songs sound. That's a whole different arena of music.
I suppose,
yeah. So with the four of us together, our songs are like, what genre is this? Like, it's always hip hop, but it's all sorts of other stuff too, which is really fun. And then, so that's one kind of like sector.
Right.
And then the other is that we've been doing a lot of live events. So over the summer, we started doing a new event called Elevate Open Mic. And the intention behind Elevate is that we had been to so many open mics that were awesome and we could pull really super great things from. Like, wow, that open mic brought us to all these people, this community. We love the way that they did that. The host was always this way, you know?
A bunch of
Kinda
guys
picking
met
those
in
things
open
up. We
mic.
did.
We were listening back to the other interview or whatever. And
Back at Fifth Element.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys are now
So we were like observing, kind of taking things in, right? And then it's like, okay, and then what didn't work? And what do you want to leave out? And there were other spaces where we would go to and it's like, man, this is so competitive. Like nobody here is interested in listening to each other. Or collaborating, and you kind of you feel like the crabs in the barrel. Like when is my turn, waiting to speak, kind of just like antsy kind of energy. And we didn't want that.
Right.
So we decided to build this intention of we're going to create a space where people come to actually listen to each other and where people actually connect. And in that process, we are healing. And we're healing not just individually, but also then as a community. And then connections are made and collaborations happen. And we shift our mindset from that space of lack or competition and move instead to collaboration or abundance, because those are synonyms with each other. Yeah. So we've had 3 of those events. And then we also did an embodiment dance night, which was awesome because I have learned through my journey so far that our body is an intuitive instrument. And if you can be present in your body, you free your mind, your mental energy to be able to do what it's meant to do, which is to create, to manifest, right? So we can't manifest if we're up here just doing the same thing all the time.
Right.
We have to get into the body. So moving, dancing, all of that, it moves everything that it needs to move. And it allows us to really feel and be present and be with each other in community. And like, it's really cool and special to have a space where you can just move and be weird and not worry about what you might worry about if you were like at a club or something like that.
Precisely.
You know, what are other people going to see? How do I present myself and things like that? So
yeah, what's the secret for having those differences than not feeling too uncomfortable to dance, not feeling too uncomfortable to like collaborate? Like what do you think is some of the differences, or how do you accomplish that difference?
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but years ago I did a residency called Vulnerable. And the idea behind Vulnerable was to create a space where people felt safe enough to be vulnerable, because I noticed how connections flourish in that space. Excuse me. And how people's passions will come to the surface if somebody's like, I don't really know what I'm here for, you know? And it just starts to come out and come up because you're really actually truly connecting. So safety, being safe enough to be willing to do some of that experimentation within your own vulnerability is what's key. So for us, what's the most important is we have to cultivate trust with our community. We need people to know that they can trust us as people by watching us and watching what we're doing and being transparent about our own process. And then by creating the spaces where they can come and actually feel safe. And then when you're in that space, it's like, you maybe didn't think that you could do something on a mic. Like maybe you think that you have performance anxiety, right? But like, what happens when that thought...
You off. We have to take a break. This is DogStar. Sure. We'll be right back. Bow wow.
Welcome back to DogStar. We're sitting down with Mama Rose, talking about the vulnerable residency. Not only, touting that it is a safe space and a connective space, but practicing that it's a safe space and
kind of leading by example.
Yeah. So Vulnerable was what set us into the direction that we are now with the events that we're hosting now. So again, like if you come into a space with an idea about how you're going to feel there, it's very possible that might happen, right? If you think I'm going to be nervous,
it's going to solidify.
Very possible.
Right.
Maybe you won't. Maybe something will be unexpected and you won't. But it's very possible. And what that is probably coming from is how you've felt in other spaces. So if you've been to open mics before where you felt really nervous and not safe enough to be vulnerable, then you might expect that, and maybe you're not going to go to another one, or maybe you're not going to go dance with a group of people because you know that just feels really yucky to you, and too many thoughts come up about what you look like or what other people are thinking about you or something like that, you know? Or maybe some things come up in your body that just you don't want to feel or whatever. But if you come into a new space where the stage is really set with safety, then all that stuff has the space to actually be able to move and shift and transform so that you can have a new experience.
Totally.
Yeah. So if you come to Elevate open mic or the embodiment dance nights that we're doing or just any gatherings, that's the idea. is that you'll come to a space that's really fresh, that's really new, that's going to give you a different experience so that you can get up on the mic and just be authentic and be yourself. And you don't have to have that same experience of tightness. And if you do, you've got a whole group of people that you get to work through it with. You know, you can be like, this feels weird and I am really nervous and I'm going to do it anyway because I'm choosing to be brave tonight or whatever. So it's really cool to see people go through that.
Oh, I can imagine. Any of those events on the horizon or maybe planning on 2024
Well,
events?
Tom and I, my partner, are doing this right now. I don't know if the camera can see
Very
this,
busy
but this
project.
This is our current project that we're working on. And so as a group packed, we're taking a break for a minute. And through the holiday season, we're going to put a little pause. And then we'll come back again. And we're going to have some fun events that come right at the new year. So,
oh, that's so exciting.
So stay tuned. We have a website and a newsletter and all that fun stuff so people can stay in the loop.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dance parties look fun on Instagram. I always see the
so
posts.
fun.
I was like, these guys doing a dance party every event now? And it seems
It
like
does happen at every event now.
Yeah, that's
like it's not
wild.
even just, it's like uncontainable.
Yeah, no, that's a really cool component, I think, of the, like you were saying, to get creative, you got to kind of get out of your head.
Yeah. It helps so much. It's the only thing that I've found that really actually helps.
Yeah, that's nice.
Is there a dream venue, local, national, international, that you'd want to do one of those open mics and or dance parties at that you haven't yet occupied?
There is not a dream venue that already exists, but there is a dream for a venue that will exist.
Hey, I like that.
And I'll leave that there.
I guess I got more questions. In your vision, is it, do you like find it already built or do you guys build it?
Oh, that's such a beautiful question. I love dreaming with other people. Thank you. In my vision, we find a space that is essentially empty and ready for newness.
Nice.
And can build it out. Bring in our own designs and build it out. And there's a lot of wood and a lot of natural light.
Nice.
And a lot of the things about the space that we're using right now, which is Soul Body Finesse Studio in Northeast, their sound healing studio.
Okay.
A lot of the things about that space I want to take with me into the future and create into whatever it is that comes next. And that's how it's always been. It's like everywhere that we go or get to experience, there's something that's like, bring me with you. I'm a seed. And then it comes and it grows in the vision more. And then it manifests itself into whatever comes next.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Made me think of what you were talking about with the production aspect of your career, how it's like you could just keep singing songs over, you know, whoever's beats have whoever produced it, or you could, you know, take the risk of being a total beginner again.
Right, yeah.
But that's kind of what it takes to try something new.
And you know what? I don't mind being a total beginner at something if I can do it with my friends. And I think that's the main thing is like, if you have community, anything is accessible and fun.
Yeah.
Or at least like manageable. And since I have my partner and Philip St. John and AMG and Jason Fay and another friend, Michaelton, who like these guys are all so awesome and curious and creative. And like the way that they think about sound is interesting to me. And I'm like, I want to talk about sound with you. Like I want to talk about my idea for how to do this and see what's your idea for how to do this or what do you hear?
Yeah, you were talking before the show about, you know, the DAW you use, the ability to bend and kind of almost create sounds that didn't exist before from the recordings that you made.
Yeah.
Any tips on choosing a DAW that works for an up-and-coming artist?
I have no tips other than the only thing that helped me, again, is just going back to community. Who around you is using what? Because if you want to create with other people, then maybe start with what they're using.
Yeah.
Or find a group that is going to be using what you want to use. Like, I know Slam Academy has a lot of Ableton classes. So you can go in and you can start to learn on Ableton with other people who are also learning Ableton, who are at varying degrees of what they know or like what they're going to be doing with it. And that's super helpful just to have community around whatever you're doing, so that if you have a question, you're not spending 6 hours on YouTube and Reddit trying to figure it out. You have somebody that you can call and work it out with, and it just makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Were you able to reach out to the community you just mentioned moments ago when you were building the home studio?
Yes. They helped a lot with that.
Oh, I can imagine.
And helped teach me a lot about how to mix and record in that space. We had this big metal vent that ran right above the only place we could put our microphone. And it created a lot of frequencies that I didn't want in my vocals. So I had to learn how to ring them all out with an EQ, like find them and then bring them down. So like little things like that the space encouraged me to learn. And then I had the people who could teach me how to do it. And then we moved to a different space. And so then there's different things and some things you can't do much about. Like I had a cricket who decided to be in one of my songs, and I had to just add a bunch of crickets to the song to like make it a part of the song.
Interesting.
That's Head Up, the first one on Between. Yeah, I was like, well, you know what, bud? You're just gonna be in the song. Yeah.
I mean, I like those creative problems that need to be solved. Keeps it interesting, at least.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Yeah, but I do use Ableton for anybody who is wondering. And I haven't used other things, so I don't know really how it compares. But I love Ableton, and I love being able to do as much as I can with my voice and all sorts of other sounds too. Yeah.
Remind me what your musical background is other than a great ear.
Thank you.
Did you play piano? Did you play saxophone?
I had like a very spotty musical background. I went to just kind of a regular school that had like a choir and band. So I played clarinet for a little bit. Tagged along with a friend of mine to a couple singing lessons when I was a kid. And my parents were like, we can't afford that, so you're going to have to figure it out. And always had a passion for my voice, but it was not easy for me to learn piano. And so I didn't really want to. And guitar was a big influence in my life because I had close adults who played, but they wouldn't teach me. My sister got married to someone who was in a band, and I thought he was going to just like be the answer and like teach me how to play drums and the didgeridoo and all this cool stuff. And then they separated. And, so it's just like, eventually I got to St. Kate's and I was studying nursing, and I took a voice class there. I don't feel that was a big influence in anything, but it was nice to actually be able to finally do it. And then I went to McNally Smith College of Music for a summer semester. And that's it. Just because I was like, I'm going to go here, see what they have to teach me. Maybe I can learn something about music around the world or music business, or just pick up a little bit of this and that, little music theory. And I did. I picked up a bunch of little pieces and I put them in, and then said, music in an academic setting is not the way that I music. And so pulled out of that and went into another direction that was really just more about experimentation and again, figuring out who I can work with. Yeah, because that's the hardest thing at the beginning. Like, you can have an awesome voice, but if you don't know a producer, then
what are you going to do with it?
It does feel kind of like a wall at that point. Or it did for me at that point. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Besides doing live performances, we had the Chocolate Mansion in St. Paul story that was your first show, right? You put together a show of songs that you'd written, and your musical background would also have to include like creative writing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I've been writing songs, poetry, all sorts of different things, stories, scripts, essays forever.
Pretty much since you could write, you were
Since I
saying
could
the
write.
last time we were sitting
Yeah,
down.
yeah. And we can't just call it the Chocolate Mansion because it's the coolest
It's-
name.
Right.
And we must say Dr. Chocolate's Chocolate Chateau
Right.
in full.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. I imagine it made out of chocolate, of course.
It was a 4-story old Victorian mansion, completely made out of chocolate.
Right.
That part actually is not true, but it was a 4-story Victorian mansion, and I'm in love with that building. And it's been a really big part of my journey, even just in how much it inspires me to consider that space. Like being in that space and feeling the acoustics of that space was a dream. And I was alone a lot, so I could just sing and listen to everything bounce around.
Yeah.
Sounds very Beauty and the Beastie.
It was beautiful. I wish that I could have recorded some of it, but here we are.
Go. Yeah, no, the journey continues.
It does. And we'll see if that building comes back into our future.
Positive visualization.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. Any any other venues that you like as much as that one that you guys have been performing at? Or
Currently, we have been performing mostly at, well, it's been a lot of things that are outside or retreat centers or like kind of more unconventional spaces for performing, like Soul Body Finesse. So the space that we're in now is like a old lofted room that has smaller rooms kind of all connected in the same space, but super high ceilings, really interesting acoustics in that space too. So I'm always like listening to how the sound moves and works in different environments.
And have you implemented like, for lack of a better term, digital sounds or pre-recorded sounds in with like live acoustic sounds? Do you find a healthy blend between the two, or do you lean more towards acoustic sounds, including your voice in that category?
That's a really good question. I think a combination.
Okay.
Yeah. And for the most part, if I'm performing by myself, I'll do all acoustic, or I'll share something that's already recorded, or I'll do something vocal that's over something that I already partially recorded. Like, say I have something that I produced or Tom produced, and it's like nature sounds or drums or whatever, and then and I have some harmonies, and I obviously can't sing more than one thing at a time, so then it's helpful to have that as like a backing track. Or if I'm working with Pact and we're doing a song together, then it's a lot more like the instrumental tends to feel a lot more like a beat and have a lot more components, where my stuff is a little bit more stripped back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Is that the direction that you see yourself continuing down, or is that just one variety of the music journey?
Oh, both.
The stripped down version. Can you see yourself ever doing like a disco album?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're working on dance music right now, actually. Multi-genre dance music. Tom's very good at listening to things and learning how they work by listening to them. And Aaron, AMG, he DJs all this awesome, crazy dance music. And then Phil's been producing it too. So like me, I'm still in kind of the like, how do I fit in? Because I love to move to it and I love to dance to it. And I'm not exactly quite sure like where my voice is in it yet. But I do have a couple dance tracks in between, but they're like what makes them dance is the drums. Like the drums that I put in and the vocal percussion that I put in. So not so much of what you'd like think of as like electronic or house music or anything like that. But I also have an album that's ready to record. It's ready to record, but it also is going to be recorded whenever I decide that I play guitar well enough to record it. Because I've written it all acoustic on guitar, and I want to really support myself with guitar in the way that I know that I can if I'm patient enough. So once my baby comes, my shift that I'm anticipating is diving back a little deeper into guitar again and getting all those songs like really, really crispy so I can start to put those down too. But that's all super stripped down because it's just me and guitar. So
how long have you played guitar? For some reason in my head I was thinking, how long have you had that guitar? But how long have you played guitar?
Same answer. Actually, I started playing guitar when I was 21 and I'm 31.
There you go.
And I have like a really interesting relationship with guitar, and my approach to it, like most things, is very cyclical. So like I will pick it up and be really invested in it for a while and then set it down and work through whatever it is that's kind of keeping me from it.
Okay.
Or maybe be like, well, now I'm writing a book right now, or I'm working on visual art right now, or I'm, whatever else it is, because there's so many creative things that come through me. So if I pick up any of those other things, it allows me the space to do whatever internal work it is to kind of write and balance my relationship with guitar a little bit more, and then I'm ready to come back to it. But it's not an easy thing for me. Like I notice some people pick up guitar and they're just like, this is my thing. This is like an extension of my body. And I'm like, my voice is my thing, and this is a different thing.
Right.
We'll be right back with Mama Rose here on DogStar.
Bow wow. Bow wow.
Welcome back to DogStar.
We are sitting down with Mama Rose.
Talking about the desire to dive back into guitar, but balancing it with your kind of cyclical learning or habitual cycles.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I've heard that the calluses are the hardest thing to get through. Do you foresee that being more or less difficult than kind of your cyclical learning?
It's not really a big deal for me, but I'm always playing it. Like, I do pick it up frequently. I'm just not as diligent as I intend to be always.
Well, the voice is so mobile. You can bring it anywhere.
Exactly. I know. I look at it and I'm like, oh, if I pick that up right now, how many seconds do I have until one of my kids asks me to get up and do something? Like it's just it feels like more of a thing, like an investment to have some time.
Yep.
Which isn't true. It's not true. I could pick it up at any moment and play it for 1 minute and still get benefit from that. So just kind of unwinding all the stuff.
How do you balance with being a parent, balance time for yourself, or how do you find time for art amongst the busyness?
Well, it has to be a priority because it's life-giving for me and keeps me balanced and a good parent. So there's that it's very, very high as a priority, which doesn't make it easier, because there's still a lot of demands as a parent.
Yeah.
So the primary thing that allows me to build that into my day and my life is the people that I have around me. So my partner allows that for me because he prioritizes my creative growth. And that's one of the strongest pieces of our partnership is that we both prioritize that for each other so that we get to see each other grow and do that together. That's the shared horizon, the dream that we both are oriented toward. And then my eldest two children, I have 3 on the outside, 1 on the inside. So my eldest 2 children have a different dad. And so they're with him sometimes, which gives me a little bit more space too. I still have my little guy, but it shifts up the rhythm. And I'm a person who needs things to be different and changing like all the time.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it's just the way that I am. Like, I love novelty and adventure, but I have to have a base level of security and safety and stability too. So there are some things that I want to be the same and I want them to stay just the way that they are. And then if those are where they need to be, I can like move the other pieces and play with the other stuff. And that's what makes me feel the most energized.
Okay.
And then also, I think an aspect of being healthy enough to create and prioritize creative time is having the energy for it. So really focusing on and thinking about my body, nutrition, movement, exercise, just how I am in my body and how I am relating to other people so that I can be healthy enough to have that time to create too.
The holistic approach to music
it's everything.
And creativity. Yeah, that's very interesting. And cool that you're finding the balance and learning the balance all over the place from every angle, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's great. These are the songs?
Yes, sir.
So we got Sweet Waters and Gold that you brought, and we're about to listen to it right after this interview in like 7 minutes.
I like how you say gold.
Well, it's impressive, right? And Gold, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about those tracks. Sweet Waters.
Yeah, that's the first track off of your previous album.
It is, off of Drink More Water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Sweet Waters is like a super sexy, soulful, unapologetic, I am a woman. And because of that, I have found my power in really being able to express and experience through my body. And so that song is an anthem that came through me. That's like, I don't have to hide that. Yeah. You know, I can be out about that, and it's not something that's like taboo, or if it is, then I'm gonna help make it less taboo by making a song that really celebrates that in myself and other women.
It's important.
Without getting into too much detail, when do you listen to that song, or when would somebody listen to that song?
Someone can listen to that song at any time that they feel called to it, but it is particularly wonderful for times where intimacy is occurring between them and another person.
Put it on the playlist.
Put it on your playlist.
Put it on that
because
playlist.
It will remind you to be bold and free. And that's like, when is there not a time for that, you know?
Right.
But it's nice to have that in intimate moments.
Right.
Yeah.
The second track, which is the fourth track, off of Between, oh my goodness, Gold.
Yeah.
Kind of different because it's not setting the scene for the rest of the project.
That's true.
When we initially brought the project up, I wanted to ask you about the sequencing of it. Because you told us kind of about the process of capturing the creative moment, if you will, and almost mixing it real time. Were there any songs that you eliminated from the final track list? Or was it all...
No.
Everything had its place?
Everything made the cut.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. As far as sequencing goes, they told me where they wanted to be, really. There's a story through the whole experience that retrains the inner voice and shows a person how to talk to themselves nice. And that was me, obviously, going through that process as well. And so one leads into the next because it sets the stage for the growth that has to happen in the next song.
And what's the phase of growth we see in Gold?
Gold is like, it's so determined and decisive and true.
Okay.
And there's this voice that comes through it that people have approached me and been like, how is it you that's doing these high harmonies and you that's doing this spoken word part? Because there's such a range of the way that I am expressing my voice through that song. And it's because I'm multifaceted. We're all multifaceted. So I've got high angelic kind of vibes. And then at the same time, like, this is what I know. This is what my heart says. This is my song.
Wow. That's amazing. It's hard for me personally to grasp, but perhaps I just need to center with myself a bit more.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something that leads you through your own personal process, whatever that is for you.
Totally.
Yeah, that'll be great. You can listen to that project everywhere.
Everywhere.
Wherever you get your music.
Yeah.
How you're doing like DistroKid, or how are you distributing your music?
I use CD Baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy with those guys?
As happy as I can be with any of them.
Right.
There are some things that I would complain about if they were here with us. I'd be like, hey, can you do that different? Because why do you do that way? But yeah,
For the
it
most
makes
part,
it
it's
really
working.
accessible.
Gets it out everywhere.
It gets it out. And
Do you have
that's what
to-
I want. I want you to share it, please. This is healing work and it needs to be shared. So please share it.
Yes.
And then how'd you pick gold for today? Is that like, can you take them individually and still get benefit from
Oh, yeah,
them?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's like taking bites of a healthy meal.
There you
And I think for me, gold really shows my range and capabilities as an artist to create something 100% from scratch and on my own. So that was me sitting with myself in my basement, recording in about a 2-hour time frame as it all poured through, and then spending about 12 hours very diligently mixing.
go.
It's amazing.
And the only thing that I had assistance with gold was mastering. And I've been learning a lot about how to master my own music through the process of that album and more. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's like, it's something that just shows like, this is me and this is where I am. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah, glad you brought it with.
Yeah.
Want to make sure we're getting all, to thank you, make sure we're getting all your social medias right. It's at Dear Mama Rose on Instagram.
Yep.
Is it Dear Mama Rose on everything?
It's
else?
Dear Mama Rose on everything. Like you're writing a letter, DearMama.
Easy peasy, MAMA space ROSE to find all of the music.
Yep.
We've got about 1 minute left. I wanted to ask you real quick
Okay.
about, you had hinted perhaps about music on the
Oh,
horizon,
yes.
if not this month,
Yeah.
October.
Yeah, it is. It's coming out later this month. So stay tuned. Keep your ears perked up.
Maxi
It's a
single
single.
album.
It's a single. It's going to be out on everything. And it's going to be another thing that it's on purpose. It's really on purpose. And I hope that everybody takes it and shares it and gets a lot out of it.
Well, again, we can't thank you enough for
Thank you,
not
guys.
only sitting down with us, but for following your path and continuing to make this amazing art.
Thank you so much.
Definitely check
Yeah.
out the shows that Pact has been putting on.
Yeah.
Check out Pact. Check out all of their music as well.
Yeah.
Check out our previous interview on Sounddogs Present Local Vibes.
Oh, yeah.
That was recorded on August 13th, but I think it dropped in December of that year, a few months
That's right.
later.
It was more of a gap there.
A lot more of a gap,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah.
But we'll see you next week. Follow Mama Rose at Dear Mama Rose. Follow the podcast at DogStar Podcast. Bye, wow.
Bow wow.
Sweet waters, sweet waters, fall from me. Sweet waters, sweet waters, sweet waters, fall from me. I have water, sweet like honey. Come and get it, draw it from me. Sweet, sweet water, sweet like honey. Magic potion, lovely, lovely. Sweet water, lovely, lovely. Sweet water, watch me open, feel me soften, honey. I've got water dripping from me, sweet like honey, lovely, lovely. Sweet waters on your chin, dropping from me, fingers. fingertips. Sweet waters on your lips. Sweet waters, lovely, lovely. Sweet waters. Sweet waters. Sweet waters, you come from me. Sweet waters on your chin, driving from me, fingertips. Sweet waters on your lips. Sweet waters, lovely, lovely. Sweet waters on your lips. Sweet waters, lovely, lovely. Sweet da 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 da
It's okay to have a broken heart. Cracked open, not space holding, but love flowing heart. All knowing heart. It's okay to feel afraid because the mind is not the heart. Ever beating, body feeding, soul knowing heart. No need to wait for love, self seeing heart. Celebrating heart. Rhythm of the drum is the heart. Water is the blood of the heart. Patterned by the ancient hum is the heart. Equation of the skies and earth's sum is the heart. Moon and sun in the heart. Collection of the opposites, one is the heart. Come in the heart. And if you want to know it better, then get lungs in the heart. Breath and tongue in the heart. Let the heart be the art. Words sprung from the heart. Speak and touch from the heart. Never wrong to be hurt, just let it come from the heart. And if you're listening now, know it comes from the heart.
They see us shining, wanna know how we stay so bright when the world's so cold. They say I see a silver lining. When the heart stays clear, the lining is gold.